Harcourts, Rata and Co Auctioneer number 19, Rubicon Street in Reservoir. My name is Robert Ozzimo and I proudly represent the company of Harcourts, Rata and Co. Joined here today by my award-winning team in blue. Should you require their advice, please feel free to approach either Rob Stefanovski, Chanel Fattini and of course Michael Cetrola and Emilia Faba, who no doubt you've had the great pleasure of meeting throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, let me share with you now the following announcements which you can place to have your bid and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions are made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. The contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in a flexible 30 to 90 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, quite a straightforward contract. Everything's in here. Everything is quite clear. Buyers, is with my highest recommendation what we offer for your consideration and competition here today. The only thing more special than this location is the home. What a great combination here in the Oak Hill estate, such a sought after location for many reasons. If you look up and down Rubicon, you'll notice some very house proud owners. It's a street that has character, but also it's a street that offers convenience of location, close to absolutely everything that you need to provide a great lifestyle, close to absolutely everything that you need to provide security through capital growth. Parkland abound in the surrounding streets, easy access to a number of shopping options, plenty of good quality schools, both primary, secondary and tertiary, close at hand, and of course transport easy to find. So in terms of location, it hardly gets better than this in the heart of Oak Hill, and what an example of a great Oak Hill gem we have on offer for you today. It's been immaculately looked after over the years. You can buy with absolute confidence knowing that today will be the first of a series of magnificent memories living in this wonderful home, and the first memory is putting that sold sticker up on the board. So buyers, if that is your goal, right now is your opportunity to reserve that right. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for number 19 Rubicon? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the call. I'm in your hands, buyers. Start me where you like.
900.
Where was that? Oh, over there. I don't know why I looked that way. At 900,000, 900,000. Welcome and best of luck here today. At 900,000, the bid's here at 9. At 900,000, even money now at 900,000. Perhaps give me a rise in rises of 25 at 900. I have. At 900,000 now, looking for 25 in the rise at 900,000. Fairly been offered now at $900,000 the bid. First call at 900,000. Are we done? At 900,000, bids here. Second call at 9. Done. Finished. At $900,000 a bid for the third and final call at 900,000.
910.
At 910, I'll short of my stride, why not? 910,000 and best of luck. At 910, the same courtesy at 20 now. At 920,000 and 30 at 30 got. At 930 and 40. At 950 now. 950,000, 60 if you like. At 970,000, 970 even better. At 970 the bids here. At 980 now. At 980,000, 90 if you like, or perhaps a million. At 990 now. 990,000. At 1 million even money. That at $1 million. It's just an extra digit, so don't let it scare you off. At $1 million, it does put us on the market. We are selling here today at $1,005,000 at 10.05 the bid. Short of my stride at 10.05, the same courtesy at 5 if you like. $1,006, $1,006,000 at $6,000 on the mill. We are on the market selling at $6,000 on the mill. The bid's there. We are on the market selling. Where was that? $1,010,000. Can't hear anyone with the wind here today. $1,010,000. Welcome, best of luck at 10. At 15, I had here first. At 15 there. At $1,015,000. At 16 now. $1,016,000 at 20. At $1,020,000 at 10.20 the bid. At 10.20 the bid's there. At $1,020,000. Fairly been offered now. At $1,020,000 bid there. Opportunity with you. At $1,020,000. We are on the market. at 50 and a great bid at that at 1,050,000. What a way to enter the proceedings at 51 now at 1,051,000. At 55 at 1,055,000 and 70 now at 1,070,000 at 1,070,000. The bid's there 1,070,000. At 71 now, at 1,071 the bid, at 1,071,000 at 71 on the mill. Back against you. It was a great start, Supers. How you finish it counts. At 72, got him down to ones at 75, at 1,001 at 3/4, at 1,075,000 at 1,080,000 now, at 1,080,000 at 1080 the bid, at 80,000 on the mill, at 1,080,000. We're on the market and selling. If you've come to buy, bid me now or forever hold your peace. There's no half-time break here today, not going inside, not seeking instructions at 81, and at 1,081,000 now, at 81 on the mill, at 1,081 and the bid's there. I'll give you a moment, so I'll give you 2 seconds. At 1,081,000, are we done here? Thank you very much for bidding here today. At 1,081,000, bids there, keys are there. We're on the market, we sell. We're done over here, sir. Thank you very much for bidding here today. At $1,081,000 the bid, bids there, keys there, on the market, selling. We play for keeps. 1 million, where was it? 82, welcome and best of luck, and 5 now at 85, at 1,085,000, at 1,085,000, bids back here, keys back here, at 1,090,000 now. What was the reply, man? 1,090,000 bid there.
Just having a think.
I thought you had a bid at 1,090,000. Fair enough. I'll circle back to you at 1,090,000, 90 on the mill at 1090 the bid at 1,090,000. Bids there, keys are there. We're on the market. We sell at 1,090,000. Once at 91 now at 91 on the mill at 1,091,000 at 1091. The bid's back there. What do you say? 1091 bid there, keys there. Stewing. Don't stew for too long. We're not going to be here all day. 1,091. Bids there. Opportunities get the job done. Bids here. Keys are here as it stands at 1,091,000. Fairly been offered now. Sir, did you have that phone call? Did you get some instructions? Can you call them back and say, well done, we bought it at 1,091,000. Fairly been offered. Once at 1091, all done. Second call at 91,000 on the mill. Done and finished. Third, final call. $1,091,000 a bid, all done. At 93, welcome at 1,093,000, 95. Was that 95, ma'am?
Yeah.
At 1,095,000. At 1,095,000, 97 now. At 1,1, even money at 1,1. At 100, at 1,100,000. At 1.11100. You're absolutely sure now. At 1,100,000, fairly been offered. The bids here, the keys are here. We're on the market. We sell at 1,100,000 for the first call. At 1,1, all done. Second call. 1,100,000, done and finished. Third, final call at $1.1 million a bid, all done, finished, silent and out. At 1,101,000, yeah. At 1,101,002, at 1,102,000, at 103, at 103 now, at 103 on the mill, at 103 now, 1,103,000, fairly been offered. Are we definitely done here? Only the one bid here today at 1,103,000, at 1,103,000 and 5, at 1,105,000, at 1,105,000, bid back there, at 1,105,000. Was that they can have it, or yes, come back to me for a bid.
Back there in a minute.
1,105,000. Fairly been offered, seeking some instructions here too. 1,105,000, 1,105 the bid. At 1.105 the bid, fairly been offered. We're selling here today 1,106,000 now at 1,106. At 1,106,000, definitely done. Thank you for your bidding. At 1,106,000, fairly been offered once at 1,106, all done. Second call, $1,106,000 done, finished. Third, final call, 1,106,000. Back, I was just about to come and seek instructions at 1,107. At 1,107 now. At 1,107,000, fairly been offered now, 1,107,000. How about 10 in the rise?
10.
At 10 now, 1,110. At 1,110,000, 1110 in the bids here. At 1,110 at 110 on the mill. At 1,110,000, what do you say? Bids here, keys are here, might be your last chance. 1,110,000, we're definitely done here, done over there. 1,110 the bid. First call at 1,110, all done. Second call at 110,000 on the mill, done and finished. Third, final call, 1,110,000, all done. All finished, all signed at 13 now, 1,113,000. At 1,1, 1-3 at 1,113,000, 11.13 in the bids here at 113,000 on the mill and 14 at 1,114 at 114,000 on the mill at 114,000 bids back here. Keys are with you, ma'am, at 1,114 at 1,114,000, 11.14 fairly been offered now. We play for keeps. I'll sticker on the board. Got to work out who's putting it up at 1,114,000 fairly been offered once at 1,114 done. We done over there, sir. Definitely done at 15 now at 1,115,000 and 20 and a great bit at that at 1,120 now at 1,120,000 laying down the gauntlet. There's the challenge. Will we rise to the occasion, sir? At 1,120,000 fairly been offered now. 1,120 the bid at 11.20. So you definitely done there, sir. Thank you very much for being here today. 1,120,000 bids there, keys are there, opportunity here. We're done here, we're done there. Are we done across the road? 1,120,000. We definitely done. Done? Thank you. Thank you very much for your bidding here today. 1,120,000 bids here, keys are here. If you tell me you're out, if I have your best, I'll sell over there. Are we definitely done? Now's the chance. Can't bid me later. It's here or now. Bid me now. If ever hold your peace because we do sell. 1,120,000 the bid. Once at 1,120,000. All done. At 11.20 twice at 1,120,000 the bid. Done and finished. At 25 at 1,125,000 at 1,125,000. Now, man, you've worked so hard. You worked so hard. You had those keys. We're not gonna let them breeze in right at the end and take those keys off you. We must test their resolve. 1,125,000 bids there. Keys are there now. 1,125,000 the bid. That might be their strategy. It's 30 now. 1,130,000 the bid. At 1,130,000 and the bid's back there at 35. At 1,135 the bid. At 1,135,000. At 1,135 at 11.35 the bid. Bid's there 135 on the mill. At 6 now at 36. At 1,136. At 40, at 1,140 the bid, at 11.40 now, at 1,140 fairly been offered now at 140,000 on the mill, at 1,140,000 bids there, keys are there, 1,140 the bid, first call at 41, at 1,141. At 45, at 1,145,000, might take it 46 now, 1,146 and 50, at 1,150,000, at 1,150,000, fairly been offered, bid back there now, keys back there, at 1,150 the bid, at 1,150,000, fairly been offered, we're definitely done still here, 1,150, thank you once more, at 1,151, at 51 now, at 1,155 now, 1,155, at 11.55 the bid, at 11.55 and the bid's back there, we're still done over here, at 1,155,000, definitely done at 56 now, at 1,156, at 1,156 the bid, at 1,156 and 60 now, 160 the bid now, at 1,160,000. At 70, a great bid at that, at 1,170,000 now, at 1,170,000, at 1,175, at 1,175 the bid now, 1,175 and the bid's back there, the keys are back there, the opportunity with you, at 1,175 and the bid's there, at 1,175,000 once.
He can have it.
Are you absolutely sure? Are we dead set certain, ma'am, at 1,175 the bid's there, second call at 11.75, done. Finished at 1,175,000 for the third and final call. 1,175,000 all done. Finished. Silent out at 1,175. We're definitely done here. Thank you. We're definitely done there, sir, ma'am, at 1,175. We're definitely done over here. Thank you very much for your bidding. We're certainly done over there, sir. We're done here at 1,175. Final instructions, ma'am. 1,175 the bid. Once at 1,175 all done. Twice, 1,175 the bid, done. Finished. Third, final call, 1,175,000 done, finished. Silent out at 1,175,000. Ma'am, are we definitely done? Thank you very much for your bidding here today. At 1,175,000 we are selling. Sold! Congratulations and well bid. Please join me in congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another successful Harcourts, Rata and Co auction. Have a great weekend. See you again soon. Thank you. Congratulations, mate. Yeah, good.
Been all right?
Yeah, good, mate. You?